Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in wa ba'd. Welcome to the class Fiqh for Islamic Finance. Our topic for today is property, Islamic law of property. First, the concept of property. Property or mal in Arabic means whatever in effect a man may acquire and possess. Whether the thing is ayn or corporeal, ayn means we can see, we can touch, we can feel. So it's called corporeal or ayn, such as gold, silver, animal, plant, a house, cars, anything that we can see, touch, or feel. Or it can be, mal can be in the form of uzufrat or manfa'a, like service. The benefit gained out of things such as the riding of vehicles, the wearing of clothes, and the residing in house, etc. For example, we don't have a house, but we rent the house. The house doesn't belong to us, but we can use the uzufrat or the manfa'a, which is living in the house. So that is called manfa'a. So property, there are two types. One is ayn, and the other one is manfa'a. Ayn is the thing itself, which we can touch, see, and feel. For example, house. If we own a house, then we own the ayn of the house. Sometimes we own the manfa'a of the house. For example, the house that we rent, the ayn of the house belongs to someone else, but we can own the manfa'ah by renting the house. According to Al-Qamus Al-Muhit, Al-Mal means all things which are capable of being owned. And according to Lisanul Arab, Al-Mal is customarily known as all things capable of being owned. Istilahan, technically, there are many definitions of al-mal or property. The Hanafi school, Madhab Hanafi, defines property, al-mal, as whatever one is naturally inclined to yamil ilay. This definition is written in Majal, Al-Majallat, Article 126 of the Majallat. Majal or Majallat is the main reference in the Hanafi school. It's a very large volume of books, Al-Majallat. So in the Majal or Majallat, property consists of something desired by human nature and which can be put aside against time of necessity. And according to Dr. Abdul Karim Zaidan, he defines property as everything that is capable of ownership and exploitation. So anything that we can own and we can use, it is called mal or property. Under Islamic law, for property to be the subject matter of contract, when we want to buy and sell in the business transaction, the property must be mutaqawwim. Mutaqawwim, meaning its use is lawful under Sharia. So in order to be maqud alayh, or the subject of the contract, it must
Oh,
be mutaqawwim. Mutaqawwim means it is lawful under Sharia. Example of the thing that is not mutaqawwim is pork. Pork,
what is that?
babi, pork.
Oh, pork.
So it is not mutaqawwim according to Sharia. That's just an example.
Oh, it mean actually not related with Islam lah actually.
Yes, it is illegal or
Liquor, liquor,
unlawful.
oh, but liquor, Arab.
Mutaqawwim. In Arabic, it is mutaqawwim. It means it is lawful under Sharia. Means that Sharia allows the property to be the subject of the contract. Example of unlawful property are haram properties, such as beer or drinking alcohol, pork, or any haram properties. Maisir, the gambling, so these are unlawful activities. So for the property to be involved in any business transaction, in the buying, selling, and purchasing, buying and selling of the property must meet one of the condition, which is mutaqawwim, means it is lawful under Sharia. According to the majority of jurists, Jumhur ulama, in order for the property to be mutaqawwim, two essential elements should be present. First, the azafrak or the manfa'ah of the thing should be legally permissible. Second, it is customarily treated as property or of propriety value. So the uzufrak or the manfa'ah of the thing should be legally permissible, means it is okay, it is permissible to be used according to the law. And second, it must be treated according to uruf as property, or it has propriety value. So if the property has no value or no use, it is not mutaqawwim. Ahmad, give one example of property which doesn't have any value.
Sorry, can again?
Give one property which has no value. Cik Syarul, give one property which has no value.
No value. No
Ada
value.
barang yang memang tak ada guna, tak ada nilai. If the property has no value, then it is not mutaqawwim.
Mutaqawwim. I mean related dengan syariah. Related dengan syariah.
No, give one example of property which has no value.
Oh, no value. No value. Scrap. Actually besi buruk. Besi
Yeah,
buruk has a value kan?
it still has a value.
Value. Garbage buat apa garbage?
Yeah,
Garbage.
yeah. Like garbage, it has no
Garbage,
value.
No value.
Yeah, it has no value. So if the property has no value, it is not mutaqawwim. It is not lawful under Sharia. So we
I
cannot.
mean food actually out of date. It is out of date food. Tin can is out of date. This is no value actually.
Yes. So anything which we cannot use, which has no value, is not mutakawim. So it cannot be the thing, um, it cannot be the property which can be uh, purchased and sold. In other words, in a financial transaction, in al-bay', the selling and purchase, the property which has no value cannot be sold and cannot be purchased.
Okay.
Maybe worms, I don't know. Worms, snakes, I don't know. It has no value to us, so it cannot be purchased.
Snake. They're not under the snake.
I don't know. Ants, smooth ants, so it has no value. So you cannot buy and purchase something which has no value. Just an example. You can think of any other property which has no value. Okay, the majalat also gives the definition of the term taqawim, which is consistent with the definition of the Jumhur Ulama. According to majalat, property of some specific value is spoken in two senses. One is the thing that benefit of which it is lawful to enjoy. So it has a value and it is lawful to be used. And two, the other is acquired property. So, for example, a fish while in the sea is not of any specific value. A fish in the sea, it has no specific value to us. We cannot use.
Yeah.
When the fish is caught, then it becomes property of some specific value. So that is according to Majal. It has.
Oh,
It
you
has,
mean a fish in the sea? It is not as a specific value. After we caught, and then it is a
yes,
specific value.
yes. Right now the fish is in the
Oh,
sea. It is not caught yet, so we cannot eat. We can only eat
oh.
after it is being caught by fishermen.
How about doctor the fadi feed? Fadi feed. When we start the fadi feed, it is no specific value. Actually,
The
when it
again,
grow, when it that padi feed
okay.
padi, and then become the rice. Actually, it is the specific value. Can be
Uh,
example.
no, paddy is still has some value.
Or
Paddy
value.
has value because paddy can be turned into rice.
Oh, the rice.
So another example is bird still flying on the sky. So
Yeah.
it has no specific value to us because we cannot use the bird which is flying in the sky. So the bird becomes a value only when it is caught and put in the cage. Then it has value to us. We can eat or we can enjoy the sound of the bird or whatever the value we can get from the bird. So the bird that is flying in the sky cannot be sold and purchased. Fish which is in the sea, you cannot buy fish which is still in the sea. It has no value. Because why it has no value? The fish in the sea, why it has no value? Encik Syarul,
Yeah,
why the fish in the sea has no
Be-
value?
because we don't see the fish, and then we don't know how actually they are good fish or no good fish. Actually, we don't know about the condition of the fish in the sea.
Okay. Ahmad, why fish in the sea is of no value?
Because we didn't see the fish. How we can come by it?
Okay, good answer. But the
So
answer,
you have to because the albay by hands. I have to see first, and then I buy. So how I can buy product I didn't see.
yeah.
Yeah,
So the first sharat or condition to be of value, it must be owned.
yeah,
There must be
Oh,
ownership. The fish in the sea doesn't belong to anybody.
yeah,
The fish is only of value if it is caught by fishermen, then it becomes the ownership of the fisherman. Then we can buy the fish from fishermen. If the fish is still swimming in the sea, it it doesn't belong to anybody. There is no ownership yet. So one of the conditions, according to Majalat, is it must be owned. Okay, there is a ownership of the property, and the property must be of use. Okay, so when the fish is caught and taken, it becomes property of some specific value because of the ownership. Okay, if you have any question, you can ask anytime.
okay, sir.
So the opposite of mutakawim is ghair mutakawim, which is something that may not be possessed,
Yeah,
or the benefit of which is prohibited by Sharia from being enjoyed, like a pig or wine or any haram product. Although it is mild, but it is called ghair mutakawim. So it is not uh, it is not allowed by Sharia to be used in sale, to be used as an item for sale and purchase. So haram products like pig or wine or any other haram products, drug or any uh, property which is najis, najis. Um, what's the word in English? You know the meaning of najis. So, so
nanti
any
I see something can, something cannot be eat najis
yeah,
yeah,
shit
okay, okay, okay.
yeah.
shit
There are three types of najis: mughallaza, mutawassita,
Okay.
mukhaffafa. So
oh,
any product which are of najis, so it is also ghayr mutaqawwim. So any haram product like pig or wine, although it is still a property, but
so doctor, how
Muslim,
about snake, or how about the bird cannot be like bat actually, this one that is category how mutafawin.
very good question. So ghayr mutaqawwim is something the benefit is prohibited by the Sharia. For example, a pig or wine or any haram product.
Product.
But
Actually, in country of China, they sell something exotic, animal actually. This is the example of mutafawin.
yes, non-Muslims can buy and sell the product of which are haram. So any products which are haram is unlawful to be the item for sale and purchase.
Oh,
So the jurists have discussed at length about this one. So um, any haram product cannot be sold, cannot be purchased. For example, if we have leeches, or snake, some I'm not sure. Is it najis or not? Snake? I'm not sure. If I will check. If it is najis, then it is not lawful to be used by Muslims. So therefore, it is ghair mutaqayyim. So I will check whether snake is part of najis or not. I forgot about that one. Encik Syarul,
Ya.
ular tu najis kah?
Ular cannot be eat. Ular tak boleh makan, najis lah. I mean, I tak pasti lah.
Tak boleh makan, tak mestinya najis.
Tapi kadang-kadang macam dia masuk komando kan, kalau dia dalam hutan dia survive, dia makan ular sawah. That's why dia kategori najis. Tak pasti lah tu, tapi I rasa in condition lah, I mean in the time darurat dia boleh makan, mungkin dia tak ada makanan, dia makan tu lah. Bukan kategori najis lah doktor.
Only in the case of darura. In the case of darura, even a pig can be eaten. During the time of darura, even a pig can be eaten.
Itu lah. Tapi rasa najis tu rasa doktor. Mungkin maybe snake tu najis lah sebab dia harmful lah actually.
So I will check on that one whether the snake is najis or not. I will give you the answer later. So for right now, what we want to say is if it is najis or if it is prohibited by Sharia to be used, then it is called ghair mutaqayyim. So ghair mutaqayyim, there are two types. One is the benefit of using the property is prohibited by Islam. For example, pig. Okay, pig can be eaten. One can be used for drinking, but the use of wine for drinking is prohibited by Islam. The eating of pig is prohibited by Islam. Therefore, pig and wine is they are ghair mutaqayyim. And ghair mutaqayyim also consists of something which may not be possessed. For example, birds in the sky, fish in the sea. That is called ghair mutaqayyim because it is not possessed yet. So, but if the bird is caught and it belongs to somebody, then it becomes mutaqayyim. And there are differences among jurists whether the use of manfa'ah or uzufrat are included under the definition of property, whereby the uses of uzufrat can be made a subject of the contract. So there is still agreement among the jurists whether the use of uzufrat or manafa'ah can be a matter of contract, can be the item in the contract. The Hanafi school, Madhab Hanafi, requires that in order for any property to be considered as property, it must be physically possessible. We must be able to possess physically. For example, car, we can have possession physically, and it must be preservable. The property can be preserved to be used. So according to Hanafi, the uzufrat is not considered as property. That is according to Hanafi. So according to Hanafi school, manfa'ah or other fraud is not considered as property because it involves gharar, the element of uncertainty. We discussed about gharar in the last lecture. You can go to Dr. Yusuf channel, Dr. Yusuf TV, and watch my video on gharar.
Okay, sir.
The Hanafi school, however, admits that as an exception to strict rule, the usufructs have legal value after the value is fixed by a lease contract. As other schools, the other mazhab differ and consider usufructs as property. So according to the school of Shafi'i, Hanbali, and Maliki, the usufruct or the manfa'ah is also considered as property. So we can buy and sell the manfa'ah. For example, the manfa'ah of using a car as transported can be a part of the contract.
Oh,
You want to use a car? Okay. You need to pay the price for using the usufruct or the manfa'ah of the car. So it is called rent. So according to Madhab Shafi'i, Hanbali, and Maliki, usufruct can be possessed and used. Therefore, it can be an item of the akad. It can be maqud alay, the item for sale and purchase. So, which one we prefer? So, contemporary scholars prefer the view of the majority, which include the usufruct in the meaning of property. So, usufruct can be sold and can be purchased. So, the term usufruct in financial uh, in finance is called manafi' al-maliyah.
Manafi' al-madiyah.
Manafi'
Manafi'
al-maliyah. Manafi'
al-madiyah.
al-maliyah.
Yes, yeah.
Ahmad,
Correct.
am I correct? Manafi' al-maliyah.
Yes, sir. It's correct.
The manfaat or the usufruct of the property.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There is
Means
also dispute among the scholars whether hukuk or rights can be considered as property. For example, you write a book, then you have a copyright of the book. Is it property? So,
Yeah.
so there is a dispute, differences in opinion, whether the right is also as is considered as property. The Hanafi school does not recognize rights or hukuk. In Arabic, hukuk. The Hanafi school does not recognize rights or sukuk as property because the rights or hukuk do not fulfill the conditions of being physically possessible and preservable. So the Hanafi school doesn't consider the rights as property. So the rights is, for example, you have copyright. You write a book, so you have the copyright to the book. So according to the Hanafi school, it does not recognize the right as a property.
Yes,
However, the
sir.
majority of jurists, um, comprising Imam Malik, Imam uh, Ash-Shafi'i, and Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal take the opposite approach to the definition of property. Imam Malik, Imam Ash-Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal,
Hambali.
they
Hambali.
consider rights
Yeah.
as property as long as they are related to property and it has value. So the contemporary scholars prefer the view of the majority, which consider the rights or hukuk as part of the property. So the term that is used is hukuk maliyah. Hukuk maliyah, the rights of the property. It is uh, so tradability of a property, whether the property can be used for sale, uh, for purchase and for sale and purchase, it also depends on the type of contract. For example, in the deferred payment sale contract, debt-based assets such as Islamic accepted bills and negotiable Islamic debt certificates cannot be traded. Although these assets can be traded on cash basis. This is because every debt must be sold on cash basis. Similarly, ribawi items such as gold and silver cannot be traded on deferred basis.
Yeah.
I have the one question
Yes,
about the
please.
gold. You mean what's the meaning of the main kutu? So main kutu macam kita kongsi main kutu actually nak beli gold lah to buy the gold and then itu dah istilah sebagai kut maliyah.
It's a different thing because main kutu is not considered as al-bay'. It is not buying and selling. Rather, main kutu is the permission of one person to use the money uh, for to use the money at different time. For example, this month we allow one person. For example, there are 10 people in main kutu. Ahmad, you know main kutu?
Main kutu?
In Egypt, I think you don't have main kutu.
I think so.
Okay, main kutu
Yeah.
is like this. We have, for example, 10 people.
Okay.
Okay. This month, everybody gave 100 ringgit each. So that means we are able to collect 1,000.
Okay.
Okay, 100 each is given by 10 people. So we have 1,000. So this month, for example, one of the person, Mr. A, is allowed to use the money. Next month,
Okay.
Mr. B will get 1,000 until the 10th of month. Okay? So in the 10th
Yeah,
of
I know that word. I know that. It's Egypt also.
oh, you have.
Oh,
Yeah, we
Okay.
have it.
So
oh,
in Malaysia we call main kutu. So the main kutu is finished
In
after
Arabic
10
we call
months.
جمعية.
Yeah. What do you call?
جمعية.
Jam'iyah.
oh,
Yeah.
jam ayah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jam'iyah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So main kutu is not al-bay'. It's not a sale and purchase, but it
Oh,
is the permission of every member of the main kutu to let one person use the money at one particular time. So it is allowed provided that each member of the group give the permission for that person to use the money. So for example, this month, 9 people allow Mr. A to use the money. Next month, the rest of the 9 individuals allow Mr. B to use the money. It is allowed provided that the permission is given, okay, whether orally or in black and white, and provided also that there is no deception. So the mankutu is void if one or more of the participants refuse to pay, for example. So the mankutu is void. So provided that there is a permission to use and there is no kind of deception. Okay. But it's not albay. It's not even financing. So it's just the permission of other people or permission of people to one individual to use the money at one particular time. Okay, very good question. Any other question?
No, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, this is just a very basic. We are not yet in the Islamic banking and finance. This is just very basic concept of property, because the next semester, inshallah, we'll learn very specific about Islamic banking and finance. So this semester is more on, the exposure to the Islamic aspect. Okay, let's continue with the classification of property. There are 2 types of property: movables, property which can be moved, manqul in Arabic, manqul,
Yeah,
and
yeah, sir.
in immovable object is called aqar. Aqar. Is that right?
Yeah.
Ahmad, how do you pronounce? Aqar?
Akar.
Aqar.
Akhar.
Uh,
Aqar. Manqul is,
Manku is mean something can move like car, like motorcycle. Something can move from the place and to another place.
Oh,
Yeah, a car is mean something cannot move like home,
home,
or land.
yeah, land,
land.
building,
Oh,
trees,
okay.
like that.
Something value, actually. The property has something value, can move and cannot
I
be
can I
moved.
mean cannot move. Anything
It
cannot
cannot
move.
move. Like like
Like
like
cannot move.
like a house.
Like home, building,
Home, building.
but a car can move. It's man cool.
Cool.
Yes.
Car can go from this place and to another place. Can go from Golakatil to Kuala Lumpur. So can move.
So
And this and the man cool. It's not a car.
akar is something which cannot be moved.
Yeah.
Most of the properties are manqul, can be moved,
Yeah.
but there are few which cannot be moved.
Yeah.
So according to Majallat, movable property, manqul, consists of property which can be transferred from one place to another.
Yeah.
This
Majalah,
includes,
Doctor, wait, article 126 of majalah ni, it mean come from what term actually? Actually, hukum kanun ke what? Article.
okay, good question. What is majil? Majil is like a book used in the Hanafi school. It is a
Oh,
book which which is used as a main reference regarding fiqh in Hanafi school. The
Oh,
Arabic, it was written in Arabic and now it's translated to English and other languages. The
oh,
the full name of the book is called Al-Majallat Al-Ahkam Al-Shar'iyya. Al-Majallatul Ahkam Al-Shar'iyya. Ahmad,
Yes, sir.
uh, am I pronounce it correct? Al-Majallat Al-Ahkam Al-Shar'iyya.
المجالات أحكام الشرعية.
Yeah, I think that's the name of the book.
oh.
I will check. I will check. But in short, it is called Al-Majallat.
Yeah.
The short name is Al-Majallat. Uh, in English, it is called the Majal. It
Oh,
has
Yeah.
many volumes. It is a very long book, and it has many volumes, and it is used as a main reference of fiqh by the Hanafi school, by the madhab of Hanafi. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
according to Al-Majallat, movable property consists of property which can be transferred from one place to another. This includes cash, merchandise, animals, things estimated by measure of capacity, and things estimated by weight. So all the things that we buy in supermarket, they can measure in the quantity or it can be measured in weight. Okay, so these are called movable property. So
oh, over. Mangkul lah, over property.
manqul, yes.
Uh, Consists of
Ahmad,
property.
manqul, right?
Yeah, sir. Mankhur.
Manqul. So it is
Mankhur.
movable property. Actually, all the properties
Yeah.
that you buy in the supermarket, they are manqul. Otherwise, you cannot carry it back. So you want to go and buy manqul, so you can go and buy at supermarkets or any
Yeah.
other shop. So most of the properties are manqul, means you can move from one place to another. Okay. So according to Majallat, merchandise consists of things such as goods and piece goods other than cash animals, things estimated by measure of capacity and things estimated by weight. And Majallat also says immovable property, akar, immovable property, consists of property such as houses and land,
Mm.
which are called real property and which cannot be transferred to another place. Thus, manqul, movable, is something which can be moved from one place to another without causing any essential change to the nature and conditions of property, like cars, books, shirts, food, etc. Whereas immovable is fixed property which cannot be moved from one place to another. Or can be moved, but certain damage will be caused to the property because of that removal. Or it will change the nature and condition of property, such as land, building, tree, etc. So house, some old house made from wood. In the old days, houses were made from wood, right? So
Yeah.
although you can move the house, the wooden house can be moved, it is still called akar. It is
Akar.
still called akar,
Oh, home.
immovable, because
You mean move.
by
eh,
moving it causes certain damage to the house. So So the wooden house, the old house, it is still called akor, although it can be moved, because by moving, it causes certain damage to the house. The shape of the house will change. Certain parts of the floor is broken, for example. The roof, or the the roof will be damaged, for example. So the wooden house is still called immovable property. Any question?
Okay.
Tree, a big tree is still called akor, immovable. But small tree, seed of the tree is called mangkul. So small tree, if you move
Okay.
without causing damage, then it is called mangkul, movable. But big tree, for example, big tree, if you move, um, the branches will be broken, the leaves will be, will fall, and the tree might not be the same. There's a damage to the tree, then the tree is called akor, immovable. So it depends. Okay, halas. So the mal, the property can be divided into mangkul and akar. And then mal also can be looked from different angles. Property can also be divided into fungible, misliyat, and non-fungible, qimiyat. So what is the meaning of fungibles? Fungibles or common article, misliyat, in Arabic misliyat, common article, which is a thing the like of which can be found in the market without any difference of price, which are of common. For example, rice. Rice is called misliyat because you can replace one rice with the similar, with the mithl, with the similar rice. So it is called misliyat or fungible. And non-fungibles is called qimiyat. Non-fungibles or qimiyat is defined as a rare article, or non-fungibles. Qimiyat is an article the like of which cannot be found in the market, or if it can be found, it is different in price. So there is mithliyat and also qimiyat. Ahmad,
Yes, yeah.
okay, uh, do I pronounce it correct?
Okay,
Mith,
yes, yeah, that's correct.
mithliyat and qimiyat.
Yeah,
Most
yeah, yeah, it's
most of the
correct.
products are mithliyat. Means mithliyat means the property which can which are of similar or common characteristics. It has similar
Yes,
or common characteristics. For example, car. Okay. If, for example, uh, I borrow a car and then the car is lost, I can find mithliyat, similar car, and replace with the car. Okay. Uh, for example, Asia. There are many Asias. Asias are called mithliyat because they are of the same characteristics. They are the same. Rice, they are the same. Most of the products, they are mithliyat, which are re, replaceable. Replaceable. It can be replaced because they are of the same characteristic. On the other hand, um, qimiyat, non-fungible, a unique property, which unique means there is no other property of the same characteristic. For example, a unique painting like a Mona Lisa is a unique painting, right? So it is qimiyat. It cannot be replaced. There is
Premier.
no other product like Mona Lisa. Just for example. So non-fungible is an item the like of which cannot be found in the market. We cannot find Mona Lisa, for example, in the market. It's not so. There's only one unique. Or if it can be found, it's different in price. So two properties are called qimiyat if there is if one property and the other property is not the same, or if uh, the if it is unique, means there is no other product like it which is sold in the market, or even if it is sold, the price are different, then they are called qimiyat. Mithliyat means uh, two or more properties which are of the same value can be found in the market and the same price. Okay, for example, rice. Okay, in the market, you can buy 1 kilogram of rice for 2 ringgit 60 cents. Okay, so rice is called misliyat because you can find rice in the market for 2 ringgit 60 cents. All right, and most of the properties are misliyat. Okay, halas. Now, property can be also seen from different perspectives. There are properties which are perishable and properties which are non-perishable. Perishable property is something that do not last long. It do not last long. For example, food, vegetables, fruits, etc. It is rotten in a short period of time. It doesn't last for a very long period of time. So they are called perishable items. And the other is non-perishable properties. It's a property which lasts for a long time. It cannot be rotten. It cannot be destroyed. And it lasts a long time after repeated use. For example, cars, houses, clothes, you can use many times, and it can be used repeatedly. So that is called non-perishable properties. Perishable properties such as food, it doesn't last very long. It is rotten after a short period of time, and it can be used only once. If you eat food, you cannot eat for the second time. You eat rice, so it is eaten, so you cannot reuse or eat again. Clothes, for example, they are called non-perishable property because it can be used many times and it lasts for a very long time. A shirt, it can last for 10 years. Now this shirt, for example, is non-perishable. My shirt, can you see? It lasts for 5 years. It's 5 years already. I bought 5 years ago. So shirt is non-perishable property. Okay, halas. Now, the property can also be divided into tangible and intangible property.
Tangible.
What is tangible property? Tangible property is the property that has physical substance. Can you see the sharing? Can you see the book? Can you read or not? Mr. Shahrul,
Tangible
can you read?
property. Yeah, can.
Can you see the
Tangible
screen?
property is the property. Yeah, yeah. Can. I can see.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So tangible property is a property that has physical substance and can be touched, can be seen, can be felt. Boleh disentuh, boleh dirasa, boleh uh, lihat, boleh
Lihat.
dilihat. Okay. So that is called tangible property. It's a property that has physical substance. We can see, we can touch, we can feel. For example, car. Car has physical substance and can be touched and therefore falls under the category of tangible property. Intangible property is property that lacks these qualities. It lacks physical substance or it cannot be touched. It cannot be touched. It cannot be seen. Examples of intangible property are copyright and patent right. If you write a book, then you have a copyright. And if you invent a product, you apply for a patent, then you have the patent right. So that is called intangible property. Copyright and patent and other rights. I forgot the name. Other rights. They are called intangible property. Financial right is considered as property by majority of jurists and it falls under intangible property. Nevertheless, being a financial right, hak mali does not in itself make the right automatically viable for trading to be bought and sold. Financial rights, there are many categories of financial rights. Some categories of financial rights are transferable, but not necessarily tradable. Can someone mute? You mute and then you unmute when you have questions. Mr. Sharo, can you mute? Can you mute your audio?
Yeah. Mute.
All right. Okay. Let's continue. Financial rights. There are many categories. Some categories of financial rights are transferable, but not necessarily tradable. For example, the personal financial right, hak mali shahsi, is transferable but not tradable. An example of the personal financial right is the right to claim compensation for an injury. So, for example, someone was involved in an accident and there was an injury, so there is a compensation either paid by Sakafu or paid by Perkeso, Social Security System. This is called financial right. It is transferable to the waris, to the legal heirs, but not tradable to third parties. Any question? Financial rights is transferable but not tradable.
This also is used in the takaful lah. Islamic takaful lah.
Yes, for example, takaful, yes. For example, takaful, which covers certain damages, or injuries. So, for example, you have uh, car takaful, you are involved in an accident, and they will compensate for the damage. So, so it is transferable in certain cases, but not tradable. Another example, um, for queso, also give compensation for anybody who who uh, who lost their job because of the certain inability, then the compensation is called financial right. Okay, and the financial right can be transferred to sons or daughters or spouse, but it cannot be sold. It's not tradable.
Doctor, I mean the meaning of hak mali syakhsi it means for the person sir?
Yeah, shakhsun refers to particular individual. Shakhsun refers to particular individual. So, for example, takaful is underwritten under certain name. So it is compensated for that individual, and that individual can transfer the compensation, for example, to heirs, to the waris, spouse, sons, daughters, but it cannot be traded.
It mean for example when the person buy takaful
Yes,
personal accident, okay, and then something happened to the the person, and then the waris will get the benefit actually this concept is same used in the hak maliki syakhi,
yes, in the haq mali shakhsun.
transferable but not
Yes, for
uh,
example, he um, he's covered by Pekeso, and
uh,
he's also covered by Takaful. And suppose he got injured, okay, and then the compensation is his right, but he can also transfer. For example, he cannot do anything. He is paralyzed. He cannot do anything. So the compensation, he said, can be transferred to his wife because his wife needs the money.
oh,
That's for example. Or if he pass away, he can transfer the compensation to the heirs, to the waris. So shakhsun means it is specifically for one particular person. There is another one.
Doctor,
Yes,
I have a
Mukri.
question.
Yes, Mukri.
It is relate about the term of the khairat kematian, right?
Okay, harap kematian.
Uh,
Okay.
After one person die, and then maybe daughter or son or mother can get the compensation from the particular company.
Yes.
It is what we call available for what we call personal financial right,
Uh,
hak
y-
mali syakhsi.
yes, uh, it's, uh, it's actually a compensation. It's quite a different because it's actually compensation not for the shakhs, not for that person, because he he will get the khairat kematian only if he dies.
Oh,
So it is actually a compensation uh, to his family to cover the cost of burial
hmm.
untuk apa ni tanggung kos pengkebumian to cover the cost of burial.
So
So
nak
it,
include lah under personal right, financial right ni, hak mali syakhsi ni.
yes, it is not because
Okay, okay, okay.
hak mali syakhsi is compensation for that individual um,
Particular individual.
for that particular individual, for that individual to enjoy the compensation, to use the
Hmm.
compensation.
Okay, okay, clear. Thank
Uh,
you, Doctor.
You're welcome. And there is another financial right. It's called hak mali aini. Hak mali aini. Examples of financial rights are ownership rights. Hak al-milkiyah. It is called hak milkiyah, the rights of ownership, shares, and intellectual property rights. These financial rights can be inherited and also can be tradable to the third party. Hakul milkiyah, the ownership right. For example, you write a book, then you have what we call copyright. Okay, you have the copyright of the book. Then this copyright you can sell to another person for a certain amount of money. So that is called haq al-milkiyah, ownership right. They include shares. You buy shares, certain shares. You can also um, trade the shares, and you have intellectual property rights. You can also sell the property rights. Property rights include um,
Betul. Admin kalau tanah pusaka, actually tanah pusaka actually dalam kategori of the ownership right, hak hak malikiyah.
hmm, tanah pusaka dalam kategori ulang
Ada
balik
ada
tak?
tanah pusaka tu adakah ada dalam kategori al-haq al-malikiyah. Actually inherited tu maksud diwarisi tanah tu. Maksud kita tak boleh jual ke orang lain. So dia amanat tu daripada mungkin datuk kata tanah ni hang tak boleh jual. Punya jual untuk anak ataupun cucu saja. Itu satu adakah itu dalam kategori al-haq al-malikiyah.
Boleh juga, cuma bila seseorang meninggal, maknanya waris-warisnya akan dibahagikan harta peninggalan melalui kaedah faraid, kan? Melalui kaedah faraid. Jika tidak dihibahkan harta itu terlebih dahulu. Bila seseorang itu meninggal, maka hak ownership orang yang meninggal itu sudah luput. Orang mati tidak memiliki apa-apa. Jadi harta peninggalan itu diwarisi melalui kaedah faraid. Okey. Jadi harta yang diwarisi itu macam-macam jenis harta lah, no? Macam-macam jenis harta lah. Tak
Banyak sebab kita ada dapat satu customer tengok, bila kita tengok dia orang dekat apa jabatan tu wang tak bukan dituntut tu, satu orang kata amanah raya dia something banyak dia macam benda itulah apa benda property yang berubah kan, yang boleh property berubah, property tak berubah, simpanan apa semua kan, banyak dia orang buat yang banyak yang buat ni lah paraid lah, nampak itulah kan. Kita nampak macam motorcycle, tanah apa semua itulah.
Ya. Yang tu tajuk lain lah. Yang tu tajuk lain. Tapi tak apa. Tajuk lain tapi saya cuba komen lah. Terdapat harta-harta yang gagal untuk diagihkan melalui kaedah faraid. Antara sebab kegagalan tu macam-macam lah. Antaranya apabila seseorang meninggal, harta tanah misalnya yang memiliki geran, nama waris tidak dimasukkan dalam geran tanah. Contohnya. Lepas tu, itu ke generasi yang kedua. Nama generasi yang kedua tidak ada dalam geran tanah. Kemudian katalah generasi kedua pun meninggal, semua dah meninggal, datang generasi ketiga, cucu-cucu pula. Cucu-cucu pun tidak ada nama dalam tanah. Okey, tak dipindah milik. Kemudian seterusnya sampai contohnya generasi yang keempat. Bila terlalu lama, maknanya tanah-tanah itu tidak dimiliki oleh mana-mana pihak yang hidup. Tanah itu ada atas nama orang yang sudah meninggal dunia. Orang sudah meninggal dunia tidak boleh memiliki apa-apa. Luputlah hak pemilikan. Tapi hak pemilikan itu tidak dipindahkan. Jadi pihak kerajaan berhak untuk memindahkan hak pemilikan ke amanah raya. Jadi banyaklah di amanah raya itu harta-harta yang mana tidak dimiliki oleh orang-orang yang hidup. Jadi itu kalau nak claim balik pemilikan, kalau nak tuntut balik hak pemilikan ke atas harta-harta tersebut, dia melibatkan proses yang panjang dan complicated dan mungkin memerlukan lawyer, kerana kalau dah generasi yang ketiga contohnya, berapa ratus orang yang mempunyai hak pemilikan ke atas harta yang mungkin tidak seberapa kan. Mungkin harta tu 5 relung. Contohlah. Kemudian cucu-cucunya sudah ada 200 orang. Contoh saja kan. Jadi 200 orang itu semua mesti menurunkan tanda tangan bersetuju untuk misalnya diubah milik kepada pihak-pihak tertentu. Jadi banyak masalah dari segi proses, prosedur perundangan yang melibatkan lawyer. Kadang-kadang yuran lawyer pun tinggi. Nak upah lawyer
tinggi
untuk
pada harta
betulkan pun tinggi. Jadi tak berbaloi untuk diupah lawyer untuk tuntut. Tuntut pun tak semestinya dapat lagi kan. Jadi sebahagian pihak tu dia abandon je lah. Dia abandon je lah. Jadi
Okay.
banyaklah harta-harta di amanah raya tu yang tidak dituntut hak milik.
Okay.
Itu tajuk lain lah, tapi saya
Ya,
komen.
tahan. Okay.
Dah buat tengah belah.
Okay. Bagus soalan tu. Ahmad, I have to answer in bahasa because the question was
That's
in
okay, sir.
bahasa.
Never mind. I understand. So I understand the situation. So
Okay.
never mind. It's okay. I accept it.
Alhamdulillah. Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Any other question? Okay. It's 11:46. We will finish what time? Around, inshallah, 12:30. Inshallah, we'll finish around 12:30. And can we have like 10 minutes break? I need to drink. My throat is
sir. Okay. Can.
okay.
Okay.
So we'll stop for a while the recording, and inshallah we will continue. You can stay, or you can go and have a drink or something. We stop
Okay.
and break for 10 minutes, inshallah.
10 minutes.
And
Okay.
I will stop the recording.
Okay.